you guys, if a miracle happened and then you win the lottery, how happy would you be? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, most definitely you'll say 10, right? Well, it's definitely right because it's nothing but just normal. However, if we are going to change the question, say, after 10 years winning the lottery, how happy are you? Would your level of happiness be the same? Perhaps the level is still high, but it is not as high as it is because you get used to that kind of happiness. And that is why your level of happiness most probably will decline, and it goes back to the normal level of your happiness. Perhaps the normal level of your happiness is level 6. So the research says that it declined because you've used to having all those things that you have wished for, and so you don't get excited anymore, and having new or having more is nothing new to you already since you can afford it. So uh, on the other hand, okay, let us note that the more we acquire, the more we desire, and so we generally want to have, the latest gadgets, the latest models of the cars. Okay, it is because we think that it will make us happier, but coming from the positive psychology, it was discovered that we are not happier as to those people who do not have those latest gadgets or latest models of cars, or those people who don't have plenty of money. It is because uh, earlier I mentioned, and now I'm going to emphasize this, it is because the more we acquire, the more we desire, and we became insatiable. We keep on wanting for more, and that is what we call as materialism and consumerism. So, for when we say materialism, materialism does not only exist in material things, it actually exists in your desires. So for instance, you desire to have not just material things, right? So for instance, you guys, I know for a fact, right, that you almost all, generally all students would always desire to have high grades. And the reason for that is because obviously it makes you happy, it makes you proud, and of course, it also makes you feel superior compared to the other students. And other than that, it will definitely makes your parents happy. And that, sometimes the fallback of this one is that you wouldn't care with the substantive learnings that you get, for you are so focused on attaining the high grades. So you don't care much for whatever you do. Sometimes you would even cheat because all you would want is to have high grades. And so it's like saying that the end justifies the means. That is according to this particular scenario, because you don't care much for whatever these situations are, provided that you would get the high grade. So from positive psychology, guys, it says that it will only make you happy at first, but eventually when you get used to it, and then if you're a top student, your parents will also get used to it. They get used to the idea of you being the top one of your class, and so when your performance will decline, oh, perhaps your parents will be unhappy, and you yourself will also feel unhappy. You will become sad because you were not able to deliver what you have aspired or what you have aimed for yourself. And so, um, in another scenario, for example, perhaps you were able to, maintain your level in class, you're still top one in your class, and you're still able to get the highest grades. But when you see your friends, when you see the other students of your age, like in this particular stage of yours, the adolescent phase, wherein it is generally used by the youth to have fun. And then when you see your friends having so much fun, and then you compare yourself to them, suddenly you become unhappy because you realize that you've missed a lot of fun, you've missed a lot of things that the normal adolescents like you do, since you are so focused on being the top of your class. So you see, guys, materialism does not give you happiness, because according to the study of well-being, okay, but well-being, by the way, is a psychological term of happiness, or optimal psychological functioning or psychological health. So there's a lot of study that is being conducted that materialist individuals are less happy than those who are not. People who aim for non-material things such as fulfillment, helping others, gratitude, they are really happier, as you know, compared to those who think that they'll be happy having the latest gadgets, having the latest models of cars, having plenty of money, or having high grades. Okay, so sometimes we think that if we're having all that we wish for in life, we'll be totally happily, we'll be totally happy, and for us it's like being happy ever after. However, 5 to 10 years later, we'll go back to the normal level of happiness that we used to have, and that is actually a phenomenon that we call as a hedonic adaptation, and it is also known as hedonic treadmill. Now, what is this hedonic adaptation or hedonic treadmill about? It is actually the observed tendency of humans to, you know quickly uh quickly transition, or the quickly return to the relatively stable level of happiness, despite major positive or despite major negative events of life changes. So hence, we should not confine ourselves with the materialistic desires, and we should also not engage in social comparison, because honestly and obviously, I know for a fact that you would agree with me that we only need to compare ourselves with our old self. Why? Because comparing ourselves to others will only make us vain, and maybe bitter, and maybe even sadder. So, you know, um, the thing here is that we just have to focus on ourselves, and we just have to focus on uh, bettering and improving ourselves rather than focusing on other people. So, also, we have to note that materialism only makes us unhappy since we keep on desiring for more, we keep on wanting for more, since it is closely much related to consumerism. Now, in relation to the question earlier, um, about winning a lottery, a group of professionals were asked. Okay, there was a research conducted by some psychologists, and they were asked if they will continue or if they will stop working after winning the lottery. And guess what? The majority have answered yes. Why is that? It is because they find a sense of fulfillment after winning the lottery. Okay, so for them, having money is not enough. They still aspire for something, and that is a sense of fulfillment at work. And so, um, obviously, guys, what we can see here is that we are not only motivated with money, there are other aspects that we aspire for that could make us even happier. So, in my case, as a teacher, as your instructor, honestly, I don't just look after for my salary because it ain't that much anyway. So, what makes me happy really is seeing my students learn, and of course, most especially seeing them later on having a good career and living a very comfortable life. It gives me such a sense of fulfillment. Okay, seeing or meeting my students somewhere, maybe in a mall, or and then they would say me hi and blah blah blah, and then I would go check on them, and I would say, oh, how are you doing? And they would say, I'm working here and blah blah blah, and then now I'm establishing my own family, and that really makes me very happy. It's beyond money could, could give. That happiness is way beyond for any material things because it is quite deep. It is more than happiness. It is actually joy that you feel deep within your heart. And also, as an entrepreneur, I am very much motivated in, of course, growing my business, not just earning profit from it, but what I would really aspire is that if the business will grow, I could employ a lot of people, and in that way, I could be of help to a lot of people as well. So that is materialism. Materialism really is, I'm not saying that we aspire for good things and great things, but I am saying that let us not limit our sense of, satisfaction and happiness in material things, because there are a lot of things that could give us happiness, and these are even tangible, intangible things, because according to the prince, what is essential is invisible to the naked eyes. I hope you're familiar with that. It is a very good story. I think almost all of the kids learned that one when they were young. And it is really a very good story with a very great sense of moral values. Okay, so now let us talk about consumerism. Consumerism is actually a social and economic order that encourages the acquisition of goods and services in ever increasing amounts. So, consumerism is actually a lifestyle because as we live, we always consume things. So, um, consumerism are, our a lifestyle part of our life. It's really part of our daily routine. Now, consumers are often viewed as victims of greedy companies. Why is that? We tend to be the victim of the greedy companies. But guys, let us take note that every one of us has a free will. It is our own volition to consume things. It is out of our own free will. We have the freedom to choose to buy this or not, to consume this or not. And so let us be very careful in buying and to whom we are buying. Let us use our free will not to patronize the greedy companies who are really taking advantage on the consumers, especially on the materialism of the consumers. So, for instance, I know we are so familiar with these company who are producing um, new models or latest a series of gadgets every year, but eventually and actually, the latest model that they release has so little addition to their specifics to none. So let us make sure to patronize companies who are responsible enough in making sure that these companies are producing good qualities, and the products that they produce are, it would last for a long time. And also let us make sure that these companies are giving something in return to the community, and if not to the mother earth, because some companies are really that greedy and they don't care that they are also destroying our nature. They are contributing a lot of pollution to our environment. So let's take note that we have to exercise our free will properly, and let us exercise our free will also with a sense of responsibility to take good care of our planet earth there. So also, before buying, let us make sure that it is really needed, not just merely wants. Let us learn to prioritize our needs, because at first glance, really, the difference between wants and needs, it's very obvious. When we say wants, these are the things that you would want to have. And when we say needs, these are the things that you need to have. And so before we buy anything, we have to see to it that this thing that we are about to purchase is really something that we need. Now, according to the needs in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it includes the following here. It says that we have actually different levels of needs, and it includes the physiological needs, such as the food and clothing, safety needs, like our job security, social needs, like friendship, and self esteem or self actualization. This is actually in hierarchy addressing the five needs that can be used, by us to better understand ourselves, and also to better and to really prioritize our needs. So at the bottom of the pyramid are the psychological or the basic human needs that are required for survival. And these are food, shelter, water, sleep, etc. So if these requirements are met, the body, if we do not have these basic needs, if these are not met, our body cannot continue to function well. Now, faced with the lack of food, love, and safety, people would definitely probably consider food to be their most urgent need. Now, once physical needs are satisfied, security, sometimes referred to as our individual safety, takes precedence. So, from physiological needs, we will now have these security and safety needs. This includes our personal security, financial security, and health and well-being. So these are, first two levels are important to the physical survival of the person. So once individuals have the basic nutrition, shelter, and safety, they seek to fulfill higher level of needs. Now, in this particular level, we will include here insurance, and that is why earlier I did mention that it is important for us that as young as we are, we need to prioritize our savings. We need to save for the rainy days. We need to have insurance because we never know what would happen. Everything is very unpredictable in our life. In this world that we live in, we could not really tell. And so it is of paramount importance that we really have to have savings for the rainy days. Okay. So the third level, we're done with physiological safety and securities, and then safety needs. Then we will now go to the third level of needs, which is social. And this includes love and belonging. When individuals have taken care of themselves physically, they can address their need to share and connect with others. Now, deficiencies at this level on account of neglect, shunning, ostracism, and etc., can impact an individual's ability to form and maintain emotionally significant relationships with other individuals, because humans need to feel a sense of belonging and acceptance, whether it comes from a large social group or just from a mere small network, like our, of course, family and friends. It is important that we feel accepted. It is important that we have this sense of belongingness. Now, other sources also of social connection may be from our professional organizations, and maybe you guys being a student, maybe it comes from your student clubs or student organizations. It may also come from your religious groups, or may even come from your social media sites, because we are living in this highly technological world. So we have our social media to somehow give us our deep sense of acceptance and even belongingness, because we create also a circle of friends, a network of friends through social media sites. There. Um, Another thing is that I know that we know this already, but let me just emphasize, or let me just reiterate, that humans need to love and we need to be loved. It's either sexually or non sexually by others. Now, without these attachments, people can be really vulnerable to psychological difficulties such as loneliness, social anxiety, and even depression. So, these conditions, when severe, can really impair a person's ability to address basic physiological needs such as eating and sleeping. If you notice, when you are sad, guys, sometimes you don't have the appetite to eat, and sometimes when you are so upset, it gives you trouble sleeping. So that is how crucial this level of need. And so we have to definitely satisfy this need as well, not just the physiological, the security and the safety needs. The third level, which is social need, is really very important as well. Now let's go to the fourth level, and that is what we call as esteem. So what is this about? The esteem actually represents the normal human desire, and it is to be valued and also to be validated. Now, why is it that there's a need for validation for others? How is that? Okay, so for example, the recognition of success or our status, this level includes our self-esteem. This refers to the regard and acceptance for ourselves, something that we have for our own self. So an imbalance at this level can result in low self-esteem. It could result to inferiority complex, worse, insecurity. So people suffering from low self-esteem may find that external validation by others through fame, through glory, accolades, etc. But mind you guys, these are just partial or just a temporarily fulfills the needs of this level. So now let's proceed to the fifth level of the pyramid, and that is what we call as the self-actualization. At this stage, guys, we feel that we have reached our full potential and we are doing everything that we are capable of. So, self actualization is really permanent feeling or state. Rather, it refers to the ongoing need for special growth, like discovering something throughout our lives, like learning more things about ourselves, or like doing more of what we can do and having more also of what we can have for ourselves. So that is self actualization. And again, this may occur after reaching an important goal or overcoming a particular challenge. And it may be marked by a new sense of self confidence and, most importantly, contentment. So, according to Maslow, 1943, he initially stated that individuals must satisfy the lower level deficit needs before progressing on to meet the higher level growth needs. However, he later clarified that satisfaction of a need is not an all or none phenomenon, admitting that his earlier statements may have been given the false impression that a need must be satisfied 100% before the next need emerges. So, according to Maslow 1987, when a deficient need has been more or less satisfied, it will go away and our activities become habitually directed towards meeting the new set of needs. So this is what we call as the next phase of our needs that we have yet to satisfy. Then this become our salient needs. However, the growth needs to continue to be felt and may even become stronger once they have been engaged. And so it becomes a bit more complicated. Like, think about going to the grocery store. Okay, so food is a need. And when you go to the grocery shop, definitely you'll go there to shop for food. So, is anything there a need? Is it like when you go to the grocery shop? Is everything is all are all foods a need? The answer is no. Why? Because soda is not a need. The name brand products is not a need. The prime cuts of the meat is not a need because all of these things can be done without. Like we can eat without buying the prime cuts of the meat. We can actually drink water, not sodas, right? So, when you budget screams for a tune up, like reducing one purchases is the best way to lower your expenses without really cutting the important stuffs. What is the important stuffs? These are the stuffs that what we really and actually and definitely need. So the first step to do that is knowing the difference between wants and needs, and at the same time identifying which is in your budget. So here's how to do it. What are exactly the need expenses? So at the core, needs are the things that we have to have in order to live a healthy and happy life, right? However, if we're honest with ourselves, often we can get by on a lot of less than we do. So in fact, we have to, sometimes we consider unnecessary expenses as our needs, and that is why earlier with my example, sodas, it's not that really necessary, it's not even healthy, so why would you buy it? Liquors are not really necessary, in fact it is hazardous to your health, but then why do you buy it? So what I am saying here, guys, is we really have to see to it that the things that we are purchasing are the things that we really need. So if we just have to really embrace extreme frugality, okay, we reduce our expenses to to the very bare essentials, then we use the money to actually save. Because when you save, guys, let's say buying an insurance like health insurance, it could really help you a lot when you get sick later on, because we could not tell when we will become sick. And also, when you save, it means that you are free to retire at a very young age. You can retire early, and that is nice, right? So let us now talk about the want expenses. What are the want expenses? So some clear-cut examples of wants are the things like designer clothing, upscale dining, and sports car. So without doubt, these are really luxury. These are luxury items, not necessities. So however, guys, if you really have so much more of your of what is needed, like you have you have more supply of your money. So why not indulge in luxury? But the thing is, if you only have enough, then settle for the very bare essentials. So you know many other purchase counts as wants. So like it's not just really buying for branded clothing, it's like buying new clothing even if you have already a lot of clothes in which you seldom use. Some are not even used yet, but you keep on buying because it's 11:11, it's 12:12. Shein, Lazada, Shopee are always giving you notifications, and that is actually taking advantage of your consumerism, which you willingly, voluntarily submitted yourself to be tempted because f- out of your own free will, you downloaded the app, you make your account, and you did not turn off the notifications. So there, it's actually your fault. So let us go back. Um, when we try to argue that want is actually a need, let us just ask this question, so that we will really see to it that the expenses and the purchases that we make are really in our budget. Because personally, when I find something that I really like, I just add it to cart. Okay, I don't I just add it to cart. I don't buy it right then and there, and I always wait for the sale. Now, it's not just an ordinary knock off. It's like it's not just a 10% off. I always wait for like 50% markdown or 70% markdown. Now, if that item gets sold before the sale, then I will just say to myself, I don't need it anyway. Or I can still find something that is way better than that thing that I've added to the cart. So no sweat actually. So actually, I am thankful because I was not able to make unnecessary expenses. Right? You get my point here? I hope you do. Now, how to tell the difference between wants and needs again? Okay, so the best way, guys, to tell the difference between wants and needs is to pause and reflect before making a purchase. And then ask yourself this question: do I really, actually, truly, absolutely need this? Easy, right? But the trick is that you have to answer honestly, because sometimes you think that you need that thing when actually you don't. So, to get closer to the truth, ask yourself these two follow up questions. What would happen if I didn't buy this? Next, what would happen if I will buy a cheaper version of that thing instead. Like instead of buying Gucci original, perhaps you would just settle for the class A imitation. Okay. So ask yourself that. Then again, let take note that needs are essentials, pure and simple. And it can be incredible how many non essentials that we can cut from our expenses if we will just try to answer the first question, followed by the second follow up questions, and the very first step actually is just to do it. So, doing so might require a change in our lifestyle. It might be difficult at first, but mind you, guys, that's just not, you know, that is not a bad thing to do, but actually a very good and a very beneficial thing for us. A more frugal life can be really fun and even rewarding than, you know, living a very expensive lifestyle. So I hope that this lesson of material self will uh, wake us up and would give us a more sense of responsibility in using our free will. And also, I hope that we will become wise buyer. Now, if you have any questions, feel free to comment, or you may write it down and you could ask that one during our synchronous class meeting.
Don't forget to